Kinky, coily, and curly are adjectives that describe my hair. Its texture causes me to spend tedious hours in the shower and desperate attempts to detangle my hair and to experience a repetitive cycle of disappointment when I realize that my coarse hair won't mold into the smooth, slick back puff that I imagined in my head. Several members of the Black community also face the same love-hate relationship with their hair follicles, yet the various styles that we can force our hair to cooperate with remain of great importance to our community. As a result, the number of Black people wearing natural hairstyles of pride continues to steadily increase. Unfortunately, this acceptance of Black hair has also led to Black hairstyles being used as an urban aesthetic in American and other international societies, resulting to non-Black people wearing traditional Black hairstyles and further blurring the line between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation. Such events have led Black folks to experience frustration, confusion, and a variety of mixed emotions. In order to understand the strong feelings of protection over hairstyles that come from the Black community, we must look at the intentionality, history, and political meanings behind certain hairstyles. Therefore, in order to successfully understand the significance of hair to our Black friends and family, and why they should stay exclusive to the Black community, let's go back in time and view the history of Black hair. The evolution of African hairstyles to the various ways African Americans wear their hair today has a rich history that is filled with oppression. In fact, one major historical event that contributed to the developing of Black hairstyles was the slave trade. As stated in the article Good Hair, Learning About Your Roots, a lesson in Black hair history, African women would braid rice or seeds into their hair as they traveled on their way to enslavement or even in their kids' hair so they could have food to eat. After this, braids evolved to serve as maps for those escaping to freedom and a way for slaves to communicate without their masters knowing. This quote alone describes how braids were not just used to style Black hair, but to aid in survival through slavery. In contrast, as Africans became more enslaved, they were forced to assimilate to European culture, causing their grooming traditions to disappear. This began the forever-long battle of the suppression of Black hair and for it to be compared to wool. The assimilation of grooming Black hair to meet European beauty standards began with extreme actions made by slaves, such as using bacon grease, butter, and kerosene as a means of conditioning, cleaning, and managing their hair on a day-to-day basis. This eventually led to slaves being sold if they portrayed a certain aesthetic that was not of their traditional heritage. Slaves who had straight hair were deemed more valuable than those who did not because they had good hair, a term that refers to the prestige that comes with having looser textured hair, as Black women who had their hair styled like white women were looked upon as more attractive than those who did not. Nonetheless, the forced oppression and discrimination of natural Black hairstyles continued after the emancipation of slaves. As a result, the now transitioning African Americans developed more techniques to achieve the European beauty goal. As visually depicted and described in Madison Horn's article, A Visual History of Iconic Black Hairstyles, Madam C.J. Walker became the first self-made female millionaire in 1905 after developing hair care products that focused on restoring and making Black hair fit the beauty standards of the time. Walker also developed the Walker method, a straightening hairstyling method for Black women that incorporated a heated comb with pomade. In more recent years, wigs and other chemical treatments now achieve the smooth, straight hair that the Walker method created in the early 1900s. Furthermore, the history, intentionality, and the suppression of Black hair is valuable knowledge because when the discussion of appropriation of Black hair is brought up, non-Black people might rebuttal, "Well, Black people straighten their hair. Why isn't that cultural appropriation?" It is important for people who use this question as a point of argument for the appropriation of Black hairstyles to realize that cultural appropriation is a choice. As for straightening hair, that was not a valid choice for the people of the Black community. To be considered worthy, beautiful, and accepted as a member of society, Black people had to assimilate to white culture. Because after all, European textured hair was good, and African textured hair was bad, foreign, and unprofessional. Our next stop on this hair care timeline is the 60s and 70s, the era of Black America's first natural hair movement. According to Chinwei's article, Natural Hair Movement in the 60s and 70s, How It Began and Why It Ended, this movement was correlated with the Black Power movement that was also on the rise during the mid-60s. This is an essential time period and movement for black hair because, as Chinwei quotes from Hair Story, Untangling the Roots of Black Hair in America, written by Lori L. Tharpson and Yana D. Bird, Negroes and colored folks were becoming black people that have been systematically oppressed in all areas of life. And for some black people, wearing their hair in its natural state became a way of showing their visible connection to their African ancestors and blacks throughout the diaspora. Thus, the natural hair movement served as a way for black people to reclaim their heritage and their roots that they were forced to neglect. It told white America that black America could no longer be forced to assimilate to any culture but their own. Needless to say, the natural hair movement spread like wildfire throughout the U.S. and eventually went from only political figures from the Black Panther Party wearing their natural locks to regular day people also embracing the styles that they were once forced to suppress. However, racist America during this era was quick to accuse both movements of being a threat to American society and began labeling those with natural hair as menaces to society. Such a term was applied to political activist and philanthropist Angela Davis, who was well known in the 60s and 70s for her contributions to the Civil Rights era and the Black branch of the Communist Party, along with her big, puffy afro. Davis recounts in her personal article that decades after the 60s and 70s, people remember her solely for her infamous hairstyle. She also recounts that while current fashion magazines regard her to be one of the 50 most influential fashion trendsetters over the last century, the same images and hairstyles that people idolize her for played a major role in both the mobilization of the public opinion against her and the development of the campaign that the U.S. government has set against her due to her ties with the Communist Party. Nevertheless, Angela Davis' story is important to consider while discussing the history of black hair because she articulates a clear difference between modern media's knowledge of the history engulfed in black hair versus the real events that have happened to not only herself, but many others during this time period. To Angela Davis, wearing her hair naturally meant being portrayed as a monstrous communist whose unruly hairdo symbolized black militancy, to be deemed by the FBI as one of the top 10 most wanted criminals, and to be told go back to Russia and go back to Africa within the same sentence. Such backlash forced her to ditch her infamous afro and made her conform to the European beauty standards she fought to neglect, as she had to wear straight black hair, long fake eyelashes, and more eyeshadow, liner, and blush to disguise herself from government officials. Furthermore, Davis never thought that the same revolutionary image she then sought to camouflage with glamour would be turned a generation later into glamour and nostalgia. Davis' point of this quote is to share how, contrary to her actual experience while wearing the afro hairstyle, the public views her to be charismatic and raucous, revolutionary, ready to lead the masses into a battle. And magazines 24 years later after these times still contextualize her photos to fit a fashion photo spread aesthetic, leading to younger generations also neglecting the political statement and history that lied within said photos. Following the natural hair movement and Angela Davis becoming an unintentional fashion icon, black hairstyles continued to be embraced and worn more frequently by members of the black community, causing more people to be intrigued with the aesthetic of black hairstyles. Frustratingly for the members of the black community, this has led to non-black people starting to wear the same hairstyles that black people still aren't accepted for wearing as a fashion aesthetic. This is a current trend not only inhabited by America, but by other international communities such as the likes of South Korea. The U.S. and South Korea have had ties with each other since the Korean War in 1950. This developed into the two countries establishing a political and economical relationship, which gave Koreans an access to American culture in later decades. Thus, as the hip-hop and rap scene began to spread throughout the U.S. and gain popularity, it also began to trickle into Korea very heavily in the late 1980s and early 90s. This eventually led to many of Korea's youth at the time to grow a fascination and interest in hip-hop and rap so much that, as credited by Natasha Mulenga in the article, Why K-pop Stars Must Keep Speaking Up About Supporting Black Lives Matter, Korea's first K-pop idol, Sotaeji, performed with two other members in the group Sotaeji and Boys. This group became the first musicians in Korea to incorporate hip-hop, rap, and dance into Korean music. As a result, Sotaeji and Boys revolutionized Korea's music industry and served as the foundation for later Korean musicians to be able to adapt to Western music and fashion styles. Nonetheless, current K-pop groups and trends still use Black culture as a source of inspiration, resulting in the reach of K-pop to expand internationally. However, as Korea and K-pop has now become a spot of interest for American teens, many K-pop fans have been rubbed the wrong way with a multitude of idol groups' appreciation and valuing of Black culture. As noted by Mulenga, Korean artists like to wear Black hairstyles such as cornrows and dreadlocks and have textured their hair to fit their hip-hop concepts. Many Black fans have also expressed their discomfort with this aspect of K-pop. This has led to Black fans calling out Korean artists who have engaged in acts that are hurtful and harmful to Black people, such as performing in blackface, saying the N-word, and appropriating cultural hairstyles. However, some idols claim in defense to such backlash to not have adequate knowledge on the background of the history behind the hairstyle that they were caught wearing, and claim to be appreciating Black culture instead of appropriating it. This applies to Jackson Wang, a member of top idol group Ketsa. In 2017, he received an enormous amount of backlash in response to a Chinese Pepsi ad he modeled in while wearing dreadlocks. Wang did not take this backlash silently and even responded to the backlash within the comment sections of his Instagram posts of the ad. Wang wrote, "I don't think I'm the only one doing this, and if people are going to point fingers at this, so be it. Haters gonna hate. I have all my respect and love for all races. But if you think this whole thing is disrespecting or mocking a race, I'm really sorry, but you're on the wrong page. I made this decision because I was too in love with the culture. No matter if it's music-wise, people, background, or anything, I truly respect it with my heart. It's a complete misunderstanding." Wang's statement shows the true, possibly unintentional ignorance that many Korean idols have regarding Black hairstyles and Black culture, as well as how even on an international level, Black culture is viewed only as an aesthetic that portrays the good sides of what it means to be Black. It is acceptably frustrating for Black fans of such artists to see such a response and ignorance towards Black culture because they can comprehend the history behind those Black hairstyles. Black fans are more aware that in the 1980s, while South Korea was being exposed to the good aspects of Black culture, the Hyatt hotel chain terminated Black females who wore cornrows. And in the 1990s, the same era that gave birth to westernized fashion and music in Korea, FedEx couriers were fired if they had dreadlocks, and most importantly, how even currently in America, wearing hairstyles such as dreads or cornrows practically puts a target on Black Americans' back and is deemed as a dress code violation or a distraction in places of business, and have led to many Black teens being stereotyped and killed in acts of police brutality. Furthermore, the utmost reason why such hairstyles should stay in the Black community is explained in a quote said by Kathleen Cleaver, an activist and affiliate with the Black Panther Party. "For so many years, we were told only white people were beautiful. Only straight hair, light eyes, light skin was beautiful, and so Black women would try everything they could to straighten their hair and lighten their skin to look as much like white women. But this has changed, and white people are aware of it too because they now want natural wigs. They want wigs like this." As Cleaver voices in this quote, and as depicted through this video, Black people have been forced to assimilate to European culture and beauty standards since the beginning of slavery. It has been repetitively beaten into the Black community's head that all aspects of their hair is unacceptable and intolerable. Thus, it took a lot of years of strife and struggle for myself and my community to be in the place where we can celebrate and own the events that make up the history of our hair, and to be able to manipulate our hair into natural hairstyles with confidence. That being said, this is why it is a slap in the face to all members of the Black community when non-Black people wear our ethnic hairstyles only for the hip-hop or urban chic aesthetic. Using Black hairstyles for this purpose completely neglects the other reasons and history behind our hair and the ongoing struggle Black people face for embracing this part of our culture. Nevertheless, once the complete history, intentionality, political reasoning, and struggles that Black people face due to their hair is realized by people outside of the Black community, then everyone can enjoy the beauty of Black hair equally. Indeed, to us and our ancestors, it's not just hair. It's history, the willingness to fight, artistry, and so much more.